All right, what's up guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be revisiting Red Yellow Sabo. That's right, I can't even tell you how long it's been since we've done a Red Yellow Sabo video here on the channel. I think it's been close to like 3 months, 2-3 months. Sorry guys, I don't even remember. But yeah, we're going to be revisiting Red Yellow Sabo. In today's video, we're going to be introducing some new cards to the equation here from OP14 that could really spice up almost any yellow leader moving forward, okay? But we'll talk more about that as we get into the video. So let's do this, guys. First, let me lay everything out for you. First, we're going to head over to the deck list. We're going to break that down, and then we're going to head over to the sim. We've got 3 different games to cover to go over on the sim, and then we will finish up by recapping. I'll tell you guys what I think about this leader moving forward. All right, so I'll have everything timestamped in the general description, and I'll have all relevant deck lists and links and stuff like that in the comments section below. If you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please do not hesitate to put those down in the comments section below, or hop on the VP Theory Discord. Link will be in the channel description. All right, guys, let's go ahead and break down the deck list for today's video, starting off with the leader. Sabo is a 5,000 power, 4 life, red-yellow, Dressrosa Revolutionary Army type leader with the effect Dawn ×1, activate main once per turn. You may add one of your cost 3 or higher characters with 7,000 power or higher to the top of your life face up. Give up to one of your characters plus 2,000 power until the start of your next turn. Okay, so we're going to go through the entire deck list now. If you don't know what these cards do, be sure to pause and read them as I go over them. Okay, so we're running 3 Monkey D. Garp. This is the Searcher from OP13. We're running 2 Kid & Killer, 4 Lilith, 2 Kumasi, 2 Otama, 4 Absalom, 4 Victoria Sindri, 3 Kikanojo, 4 Kuma. This is the 2K counter Kuma with the trigger. 4 Basil Hawkins, 4 Dr. Hogback, 4 Perona, 4 Nami, 4 Kuma, this is the secret from OP12, and 2 Gecko Moria. This is the 8 cost from OP14. So guys, I have done a video showing off what this package is capable of. Notice we're running a lot of the Thriller Bark stuff from OP14. We'll talk more about this in just a second, but I have already showed off a video, you know, kind of showcasing what this deck can do, what this new Thriller Bark package can do. And the good news about this package is you can use it in pretty much any yellow leader, because notice what the effect says. Now, this isn't a good example. Gecko Mori's is a little bit different, but most of the cards are worded like this. Trigger, play up to 1 Thriller Bark Pirates type character card with a cost of 4 or less from your trash, rested. Okay, so the trigger pulls a card from your trash and puts it into play rested. So you're cheating a body into play. Well, guys, think of it like this, just to kind of give an example of the potential that this kind of trigger interaction has with our leader. Check this out, guys. Let's say you have a Dr. Hogback, and let's just say for the sake of this example, we attach 2 Dawn and we swing in for 7,000. Okay. Now, we can push the card to our life at the end of, you know, whenever we need to in the turn. Now, once the Dr. Hogback is in our life, we only need 1 card in our trash that is a 4 cost or lower Thriller Bark Pirates type character card to play out from the trigger. Do you guys see where this is going? When we play that card out of the trash, guess what that means? We can then attack with that card. Let's just say we pull out a Perona. We'll talk about this on play effect in a minute. But let's say we pull a Perona out of the trash if our opponent attacks into us and we activate the trigger. Okay, well now we have a Perona on the board that can shut down an attack, and we can attack in for 7,000 with this character next turn, push this card into life, and then it's rinse and repeat. We basically have this, I don't want to call it like an infinite cycle, because your opponent can choose to play around it, potentially. It depends on the situation, but there are ways to play around it, at least, you know, sort of, right? It's kind of hard to explain. I guess they could just not attack into your life, or if they can attack, you know, 2 times, more than 2 times in a turn, then they can kind of play around it, because they attack in, you use the trigger, play out a card from your life, or excuse me, from your trash, and then they can attack into that card because the card does come into play rested. That's the best way they can play around it. However, a lot of people don't know how to do that just yet, And this interaction here just keeps looping as many times as you can pull it off. And then even if they do somehow KO both of the characters in one turn, you know, well, I should say that, let me say it like this. If they attack into you, you take the hit and then you trigger a body into play. And then if they KO that body while it's rested from, you know, coming into play from the effect of the trigger, no problem. Next turn, you might just be able to play it out from your trash with this card, Gecko Moria. Look at what this card does. 8 cost, 10,000 power. On play, play up to 1 Thriller Bark Pirates type character card with a cost of 4 or less from your trash, or add it to the top of your life cards face up. So do you understand what's going on there? You can either, when you play out this 8 cost 10k, excuse me guys, when you play out this 8 cost 10k, you can play a 4 cost or lower Thriller Bark Pirates type character card from your trash, either in play, you can play it out to the field, or you can put it into your life to gain a life. And here we go, we're back to, you know, what we were just saying, where we're just looping these cards constantly using our leader's effect. Notice this leader, guys. You may add 1 of your cost 3 or higher characters with 7,000 power or higher to the top of your life cards face up. Notice it doesn't say with a base power of 7,000 or more. So in other words, if we attach 2 Dawn to one of these characters, well, they have a cost, you know, they cost 3 or more, so we can add it to our life if we just give it 2 Dawn. Okay, if we just give them 2 Dawn each. So that's kind of what's going on here. And I have already gone over this in a Black Yellow Gecko Moria video. I will have that linked in the comment section below. In fact, it will probably be part of a playlist now showing off all of the new OP14 leaders. I have covered all of them in their own individual videos if you haven't seen those yet. Okay, you'll be able to check those out in a playlist. So just to kind of explain how how we're trying to pilot this deck, it's going to function pretty normally. It's going to function like in a pretty standard way. You're going to want to go turn 1, play out your searchers. We're running 3 Monkey D Garp and 4 Lilith. Now, I will say, I think I want to go to 4 Garp and keep 4 Lilith. Notice what this Lilith card can do. On play, look at 4 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with a trigger other than Lilith and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order, and then this card also has a trigger to activate this card's on play effect. At first I thought, okay, maybe I want to use this card and the fact that it has a trigger. We'll just go 4 of these and only a few Garps, 2 or 3 Garps. But honestly, I would actually rather go, 4 Garps and 2 to 3 Liliths if I had to pick. But I think I'm going to try to make it where there's 4 Garps and 4 Lilith. Because notice, Garp, if your leader is Luffy, Sabo, or Ace, or Sabo, okay, look at 4 cards from the top of your deck and reveal up to 1 card with a cost of 3 or more and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So guys, honestly, I will say this. Let me say this. Garp is going to be the only way that you could search up a card like Kid and Killer in this list, and the same thing with Kuma, okay? And then it can still hit everything else. The only thing that Garp cannot hit in this list is these 2K counters right here, the Kumasi and the Otama. But honestly, I do think we need Kumasi. I think this card's very important, and I try to save the revisions till the end of the video, but I would definitely swap out 2 Otamas for the 2 Kumasi just right away. Number one, it's going to be a lot cheaper, I think. These PRBs, these PRB02 cards are typically pretty expensive. But the other thing is this Kumasi has a better trigger. Otama's is nice, resting up to one of your opponent's cost 4 lower characters, but think of it like this. Kumasi can play out a character like Perona from the trigger and lock down a character with a cost of 6 or less. So I think it's just strictly a better card to have in general in this deck. And again, neither of them can be searched up by our Garp, and either of them can be searched up by Lilith. Like, we can search up either of these 2 with Lilith, but neither with Garp. Sorry if that was a little bit confusing. But yeah, Garp can search up every single card in this deck that matters, so I don't know why I'm not running 4 of these. It can do a top 4 search for any card that costs 3 or more. So I can search up my Kumas, every one of these cards on the bottom row, and almost all these cards on the top row that matter, like the Kid and Killer, the Absalom, and the Sindri. So I think we're going to go up to 4 Garp just right away. And then Lilith, I want to try to keep at least 2 of these in the deck, but we'll have to see. And like I was just saying, guys, I usually save the revisions till the end, but I think this Otama is not necessary. It's a cool card. It's kind of interesting, especially if they try to starve you. Then you could probably get a lot of extra value from it. But even if that's the case, I think I would actually just rather run... let me bring up 2K counters for yellow real quick. I think I would actually just rather run something like this Zeus. But a card like this, to be fair, a card like this is not searchable by any of my stuff in the deck, not the Garp or the Lilith, because it does not cost 3 or more, and it does not have a trigger. So hopefully you guys see what's going on there. Okay, so let me go ahead and bring up OP14, where a lot of these cards come from. If you look at all the red cards that are being introduced into the game in OP14, we actually do have something to probably try to mess around with later, with like some type of red-yellow supernova package. We'll have to see. There might be some options there. Pause and read this Luffy on the screen if you don't know what they do already. We could try to mess around with something like that, but I don't know how strong it will be. But when it comes to the yellow cards that came out in OP14, these cards are really, really solid for how red-yellow Sabo functions as a leader. Now, I would, we don't really, the Kuja Pirates and Amazon Lily stuff, that's not really good for us because it's very, it's very conditional. It has a lot of restrictions. This one has, if your leader has the Kuja Pirates type, you can play this card. So we can't run this card. And same thing with Boa Hancock. This is a 9-cost 10k that says if your leader has the 7 Warlords of the Sea type. Well, we don't have that, so we got to stay away from that stuff. But as far as this Thriller Bark stuff goes, it is actually very easy to incorporate into any yellow deck, especially this Gecko Moria. Notice what this one does, guys. On the trigger, play up to 1 character card with a cost of 4 or less from your trash. Okay, this trigger, I believe, is very similar to Dr. Hogback. Dr. Hogback has on KO, play up to 1 character card with a cost of 4 or less and a trigger other than Dr. Hogback from your trash. Notice it doesn't have to be Thriller Bark Pirates type. Only the trigger that these cards have, like the, I'm just going to call it the Thriller Bark Pirates trigger. Only those cards force the card to be a Thriller Bark Pirates type character. But the on KO effect of Dr. Hogback and the trigger of Gecko Moria can play any character with a cost of 4 or less. And if for Gecko Moria, actually it doesn't have to have a trigger on it, but for Dr. Hogback it does. Okay, so because we're running so many triggers, of course we are going to run Nami. This is just going to let us deal with some early annoying characters. We can take those out, and if our hand size gets low enough, we can also use this to start cycle cards, to start cycling through cards in our hand. And then we have Kuma. This card is just an incredibly solid yellow card. It's not the most busted card in this deck, but there is potential for us to gain 2 life. Guys, we can gain 2 life in 1 turn with this deck by 2 different means. We can either play out Kuma for 6 and then add it to life, or we can do the same thing with Gecko Moria and then add it to life. So, Gecko Moria costs 8, of course, but this doesn't cost an extra card from hand. You just have to pull a card from your trash that's Thriller Bark Pirates type. So, guys, there's a lot of tricks you can do with life in this deck. And I will say this, be thinking of other options as we start going through these games in a minute here. Be thinking of other options we could have for the deck. Maybe some life burn or more life gain. Because once you get to a certain point in the game, you're kind of just, you're gaming, right? You're just absolutely gaming. Because you start getting down these cards and gaining life in the process. You're getting tempo and you're gaining life. And that becomes pretty powerful. One of Red Yellow Sabo's biggest problems, for anyone who might be new to the channel, Red Yellow Sabo was my main for about a whole entire year's time. Okay, I have many, many videos on Red Yellow Sabo. I will have the entire playlist in the comment section below. I think it's something like 40 hours of Red Yellow Sabo game content from, from the past year. So some of it's a little bit outdated, but you'll still get an idea of how much time I put into the leader. And one of our biggest problems playing Red Yellow Sabo is, okay, so we add a card to our life, but we don't always get that much value from it. Well, guys, with these new trigger cards, we're getting a lot of value now. So, really good stuff here. Let me just run through the new OP14 cards real quick. Kumasi is just a 2k counter, and it has the Thriller Bark Pirates trigger. Absalom has an on KO to do a top 3 search for a Thriller Bark Pirates type card. Sindri, it's just a blocker. Then we have Dr. Hogback. We talked about the on KO on this one, getting back a 4-cost or lower character not named Dr. Hogback from your trash as long as it has a trigger. And then Perona. Let's take some time talking about this. We already kind of talked about Gecko Moria. Pause and read it if you don't remember. Perona is kind of just this new card, guys. This is just the new staple, in my personal opinion, as far as yellow rarity goes. Like yellow rare cards go, that's the rarity on this card is just rare. the card's incredible. It's a 4-cost 5k with a 1k counter. Stat line is already fine. It has the Thriller Bark Pirates type trigger on it. And then it also has this on play ability and on KO that says up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less cannot attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. Do you guys understand? Once we get a few of these in our trash, excuse me, not in our trash. Once we just get one of them in our trash, we can start looping another one from our hand by throwing it into our life every time. Because think about it, they attack in, okay, we take the hit, we use the trigger, play out a Perona, and now our other Perona that we just used from the trigger is in the trash. So next turn, when we put this Perona into our life, we just start recycling them over and over again. Very, very powerful effect, and because it hits a 6 or less and makes it where they cannot attack, that buys us all the time we need to get into the late game. So, for example, same thing with this Nami only hits a 5 or less, guys. But this Perona locks down a 6 or less. Very, very strong stuff here. Okay, I'm done yapping about this. Let's go ahead and head over to the sim and see this deck in action. All right, guys. First game up we have against Purple Doflamingo. So we got the volume off. Let me make sure the speed's on 2x, and here we go. Now, I think I already mentioned this in the deck list breakdown, but we want to go second as often as possible. Okay, if we go first, it's not a big deal, but second is definitely our preferred, that's what we would like to do is go second. All right, so we play out a Lilith on turn 1. We get to do some searching, and now we're going to swing for 5, and then we get to play out an Absalom. They're going to take the 5k hit, we play out the Absalom, and we're going to pass the turn back to our opponent. All right, here we go. They're on a 4-Dawn turn, and let's see what they choose to do with this. They play out the 4-cost Sugar, and we are not going to be on 6-Dawn next turn, and that's when the Sugar can use the on KO effect, I believe, to cheat out a 5-cost from hand. So we're not really worried about attacking all in here. Now, they did already get to ramp a Dawn, so, you know, they have used Sugar to a good effect already. Okay, so we swing for 5, then we swing for 6 with the leader, and now we're going to be able to play out a 4-cost character. It's going to be the Dr. Hogback. Now, I don't think we have any cards in our trash to pull out with the Dr. Hogback's effect, but hey, you know, that's okay. Okay, so they're going to play out a Monet. They're ramping Dawn very effectively. They're already up to 8 Dawn, I believe. And here we go. Let's see what they choose to do. They're probably just going to load up. I would imagine they're just going to load up and attack into our Absalom or into our leader. Yeah, they don't want to let me do a top 3 search. I do understand that, but at the same time, that just means I get more and more attacks each turn. You have to deal with these Thriller Bark Pirates characters, and a lot of them have on KOs, so it's very annoying. Okay, we draw for the turn. We swing for 5. We're just going to swing out this turn, guys, and we're going to develop more bodies. We're just poking all the cards out of their hand. We're just doing these little 5k and 6k chip damage attacks. And look at this. So they're going to go ahead and attack. Or excuse me, hang on. Let me pause for a second. We swing in for 5. They redirected their first attack over to the Sugar. It gets KO'd. We have 6 or more Dawn. So they were able to play out a 5-cost or lower, Don Quixote Pirates type character from their hand. They play out the Virgo, but we're just going to keep attacking. Okay, they're down to 4 cards in hand. So here we go. Okay, we swing in for 5k. Let's see what they choose to do here. Again, do they want to go down to 3 cards? The answer is no. We're going to swing in for 5. And guess what we're going to do, guys? We're going to play out the Perona, locking down the Virgo, play out the Absalom. We have we're 5 attacks wide on the board right now. We're 5 attacks wide. Now, they are up to 9 Dawn. They're going to play out a Treble for 5. This is the new 2k counter from OP14 that says when you return a Dawn, you can get the Dawn right back. It basically mitigates Dawn minus effects. And I think it's on your opponent's turn once per turn. Okay, they attack in, and we're going to go ahead and... hang on, let me see what just happened there, guys. My apologies. I completely missed that. What did they do? Okay, they attack into my Dr. Hogback, which has an on KO to get the 4-cost trigger character out of the trash. We play out Akuma from that, so we just ignored their attack and kept the body. They're going to swing 6 and a 5. We're going to 2k counter out of that because they can't attack on their Virgo this turn. And next turn, we are just going to bring on the heat, guys. We're going to keep up the pressure. They left 3 Dawn as active. Okay. All right, here we go, guys. There's a lot of new play lines for me to learn with Red Yellow Sabo with this new OP14 variant with the Thriller Bark Pirates cards. So y'all bear with me. It's taking me a lot longer than normal. You would think I was new at playing this deck. I'm not, guys. It's just been a long time since I've, or excuse me, this is just my first time messing with this version of the deck. So we swing for 6. They redirect the attack to Virgo. And now we're just going to keep up these 6k attacks, guys. We're just going to keep this up. So they play out a bullet string. They're going to go to 7,000 for the turn. That's why I was doing things the way I was doing them. Now we're going to keep going in with these attacks for 7k. We're going to go 7 into 7. And now we're going to be able to push that Kuma back to life giving the Absalom plus 2,000. And now we're going to attack in for 7 more. Let's see if they choose. They counter out, so now I might direct my last attack into the Monet, because this is going to either force them to save the card by losing more cards in hand, or they lose the card, and now they're going to be able to, you know, they lose the board state. We play out a Dr. Hogback. We pass the turn back. Okay, they play out a 10-cost Doflamingo, but guys, we are at 4 life. We actually have a lot of wiggle room here. We don't have to really commit to anything right now. So they make it where my 2 Absaloms and my Dr. Hogback will not be able to rest, but that's okay. They're going to swing for 7 into 5. Well, if I take this hit, guys, I'll be able to replace the Lilith on the board and just keep up the pressure. Okay, let's see what we choose to do here. Looks like I'm just trying to decide how I want to do things. I end up just replacing the Perona in case they attack in, and just in case I get a trigger like that right there, because that was my only Perona that I had. I ended up replacing it with a Dr. Hogback, though. Not sure if that was the right call or not. They swing for 5. We are going to get out of the 5K attack. It only makes sense. And right here, guys, you might think, like, okay, maybe I should push one of these characters that can't rest back to life. Nope. I think we're just going to keep recycling the Kuma at this point. Another card we might want to consider is maybe adding in Frankie to the mix, the 4-cost 2K counter Frankie, because if we can get down to 1 life and keep recycling the Frankie, then we can get a lot of card advantage. Okay, so we swing in, they redirect the attack to the Doflamingo. Okay, well, now we're coming in for 9 into 7. That's gone. We're going to go 8 into 5. I don't think he's going to be able to save that. We're going to play out a Sindri, and we're going to pass the turn. Guys, we have 3 life. They only have 2 attacks. We have a blocker. We only have a 1K counter. But let's not forget, guys, this is Red Yellow Sabo. I can gain a life every turn if I need to. So if you turn any of your characters sideways, I'm just going to be able to take them out. And if they don't turn any of their characters sideways, most of my characters here have actually all of my characters except the Sentry have on KO effects. So I'm just going to be able to go from there. Now, pause real quick, guys. What ended up happening right there is they attacked in for 6, and I had a full board. So I went ahead and blocked out first with the Sindri, and now I'm going to be able to take this next attack and just play out a Kuma from my life. So this is the situation you do not want to find yourself in, guys. They attack in for 10. Okay, sure, I take it, play out the Kuma. And now, are they even going to be able to survive this turn? That becomes the question. Are they even going to be able to survive here? Okay, attached 2 Dawn to Kuma. We're going for 7. They only have 4 cards in hand, guys. They only have 4 cards in hand, and we're just going to swing for a bunch of 7s, if I'm being honest. Okay, so they redirect the first attack over to Doflamingo. We're going to push the Kuma to life. We're going to swing in for 7,000 more. You guys see where this is going, right? It's just going to be like 5 7s across the board. They end up going bullet string. Okay, no problem. We're just going to keep going for these 7s. It doesn't matter to me. We're just going to keep going in here. We have nothing else we can play from hand, realistically. There's no real point to play out the Kidding Killer here. Okay, 7 more, and then 7 more, and then 7 more. Or I could play out the Perona and just lock down the attack. Yeah, that's another very good play, because now they don't have the plus 2,000 power on their leader. I mean, we could have tried to sneak lethal there, guys, but why? We're not in a rush. We're at 3 life. They just can't do anything here, guys. There's just nothing for them to do. Okay, 10 into 7, sure. I'll bring back one of these cards here. Looks like I might bring back the... I don't think it matters. I would just go with the Kuma. Yeah, bring that back. They attack 6 into 5. Sure. We get a card back from that as well. They end up just tapping out. Yeah, there was no way to survive next turn, guys. They had a 2K counter left in their hand, and then they did have a pentachromatic star or something like that in their life, but they had no Dawn active, so I don't think they could have done anything with that. Either way, that was the first game. Good game to my opponent. I think this version of Red Yellow Sabo has a lot of potential. Okay, let's move on to the next game. Volume is off. Let's get the speed on 2x, and here we go. So we got a random game here against Purple Black Luffy. This way we can also check in to see how Purple Black Luffy's doing these days, in the OP14 meta. So they start off with a Searcher, Trafalgar Law. They're going first. We're going to go second. We play out the Garp. We search up what we need. They play out a Zoro. They're going to swing for 5. We counter out. We get a card in our trash that we need. They play out the 2-cost Nami. We have 4 Dawn left. You guys know how this goes, right? Just poke, 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 guys. Just the most annoying little playstyle here, but we're favoring development over activity. We're going to swing for 5. We're going to develop a body, lock down an attack. They do the same thing. They swing for 7. We'll gladly take this. We did not get a trigger, unfortunately. They developed a Zoro and a Mr. Tubancre Bentham. Very nice. Okay, we're going to swing for 5. Swing for 5. They're down to 2. Play out a Kuma. We gain a life. And hey, do you want to attack into my Perona? Be my guest, right? Be my guest. They swing in for 5. Okay, so we take this one. We get a Dr. Hog back here. Messed up a little bit. Actually, no, we did. I was going to say, I think we do mess up later in this game. I could be mistaken, where I grabbed the wrong target back. We get the Perona this time to lock down one of their attacks here. They swing for 7. Looks like we're probably going to have to take this one, and then we'll counter out of the 8K from the leader. Okay, we get another card back. Very nice. Our board is completely full, guys. Our board is full, and we still have 2 life. This is a weird place to be. Guys, to be honest, for Red Yellow Sabo, not used to this. Not used to this at all. We're just smashing into their board now with total reckless abandon. Like, we don't care at all. We're just smashing into everything. They are a 7,000 power leader here. We're going to develop a 10,000 power body with the 8-cost Gecko Moria, and we're going to go ahead and gain a life. We're going to put the Kumasi into life in case we want a 2K counter, or if they get rid of a card on our board, we can put a character onto the board from the trigger effect. Okay, 7 into 5. We're going to take that, and it looks like we're going to play out a card here, but we might just save the 2K counter, guys, to be honest. Yeah, just save it. We already have a full board. We already have a completely full board here. So they're going to swing for 7 more. We are going to 2K, 1K out of that. They swing for 8. We're going to take that. We get a draw 2, trash 1 trigger with the Basil Hawkins. We fix our hand, and they have 4 Dawn active. Okay, well, guess what? We're just going to swing for a bunch across the board here. We're going to go 7 into 5. I think I should have just gone 5 into 5. I think that was a slight play mistake. But now I can push that card to life, and now I can go 9 into 7 and try to force them to use their blocker. They're going to Dawn -1 to use a Hell's Judgment, guys. Oof, that hurts. That hurts bad. There goes that attack and my leader's attack. That's very annoying. Okay, no problem. We are just going to keep eating their hand up, though. We're going to swing 7, swing 7. Swing 10. They'll block out of that one. We'll play out the 3-cost blocker, and we'll just pass the turn. Your turn. Yeah, they're in big trouble here. They play out a Nico Robin. They don't use the on-play effects because I only have 2 cards in hand. They're going to swing for 7. Honestly, I think I should just block out of this one and clear up space for whatever my trigger is for the Perona. We end up taking this. I really feel like that was a play mistake, personally, guys. But we'll see what happens here. We end up just taking it to hand. So then... Okay, then they attack in. We use the Sindri to block out. Again, that was just a play mistake in my opinion, guys. It is what it is. So we're going to go 7 into 7. You see where this is going, right? We're going to push that card back to life. And now we're going to, yeah, they just go ahead and tap out. And guys, it gets to this board state where if they don't go tall enough, if the opponent does not go tall enough on the board, we actually can just keep poking in, keep attacking in, eating up their hand while we're not losing any life. You know, I mean, we lose some life, but we're gaining it back and gaining it back and gaining it back. You know, and that ends up becoming very hard for them to deal with. So that's kind of what happened there. In this situation, they had 2 2K counters left in their hand and this Nico Robin, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to continuously attack into them. We still had 4 attacks coming in for 7K. So that would have taken the blocker and both 2Ks just to try to save their Luffy, and it wouldn't have worked out for them in the end anyway. So, you know, why would you even block with your Nico Robin at that point if you're just going to lose the cards anyway? And guess what we're going to do after that? Yep, that's right. We're going to play out a Perona and lockdown we can, or just play out an Absalom, or do some searching with Lilith. We have a lot of options in hand. Okay, good game to my opponent. We got one more game to go over here. We have a game versus Green Dracula Mihawk. Okay, volume is off. Let's get the speed on 2x, and here we go. That's a nice hand, especially if we're going second, which we are. Okay, turn 1, we'll grab a Lilith, or we use the Lilith Searcher there, and right there, again, guys, I wish I had Garp, because I could have grabbed a 6-cost Kuma. That would have just been strictly better, in my personal opinion, considering my hand is already solid. Okay, they play out Human Drill. They're going to swing in for 5. I think we're just going to 1K counter out with a Perona here. Yeah, the Perona is the right call, just in case they attack in and we get a trigger to play it from our trash. Okay, we're going to swing for 5. That's a nice thing about these triggers, guys. These Thriller Bark Pirates triggers. We can get value from the card and then get it again later with the trigger. Really nice. So they play out the 5-cost 6K Perona. That card is an absolute nuisance, guys. They swing in for 5. Okay, so right here, I think I probably should counter out of this one, and then I'll just take the hit from the Dracula Mihawk. And watch this, guys. This is a very interesting interaction here. They swing for 7. We get a Nami trigger. Well, they have no card to rest to use the Perona's effect. They have no card to rest to use that effect, so we KO it, and they can't even use the on-KO effect. Okay, so we got away with one there, right? And then we got to draw a card because we had 3 or less cards in hand after the effect, I believe. So we drew into an 8-cost Gecko Moria, and now we're going to go 6 into 4, and then 5. Okay, they just let it go. So now, guys, I left the Dawn open just to hit it with the Nami, just in case. But they let it go on the 6K and the 4K attack. That makes sense. And then we develop a Hogback. Okay, they're going to play out a Perona. They're going to lock down my 2 best attacks here. No big deal. We're not sweating it. They're going to stand 3 Dawn as active by tapping down their stage. They're going to go 9 into 5. We're going to take that. Beautiful. We get a trigger. Play out the Perona. Now that Perona, well, excuse me, it'll still be able to attack on the next turn. You know, because let me pause and explain something real quick, guys. Now, if he had more attacks this turn, I could have used my Perona's effects to shut down one of their attacks for this turn, but it does end after the turn and so on. Kind of hard to explain, but hopefully that made sense. Okay, so now we're just going to attack in. We're just going to keep attacking in, guys. Nothing's going to stop us from doing that. We're just going to keep on doing it. Just attack for 5. They give us a 1K. All right, well, here's 5 more. And now here's an 8-cost. Now here's an 8-cost Gecko Moria. We're going to add a card to our life. Does he want to attack into my Perona? Because then it goes to my trash, and when he attacks in my life, I pull it back out with the Absalom. Y'all see what's going on there? Guys, y'all see what's going on here? All right, so my opponent here, let's be nice, but let's also be critical. I think they may have made a slight mistake here. They're going to rest the stage instead of the Shanks. Guys, understand, pause. I paused it right here. The Shanks. On your turn, when this character is rested, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with 7,000 base power or less. Okay, that's kind of whatever. They already have a character to attack into if they want to. But notice the opponent's turn effect. If this character is rested, did you hear that condition? Only if this character is rested on your opponent's turn, all of your opponent's characters get minus 1,000 power. So because he did not choose to rest his Shanks, now I don't have any power debuff on my turn. Now, he might have done that to protect the Shanks, because I can smash into it with the Gecko Moria pretty effectively, but I still think it's worth doing, guys. I still think you should, you know, I think that's the right call. They chose not to. They're going to swing for 7 into 5. Okay, sure. I'll just go ahead and make it where the 1-cost Perona can't attack for the on-KO effect. Doesn't really matter. It couldn't attack this turn anyway. And now they're going to swing for 7. We use the Absalom effect. We get the Perona right back. We get the card right back, guys. That is a really nice combo there. A really nice synergy with this version of the deck. Okay, well, now we have something to attack into on the board, too. However, should we just start going for lethal? Do you guys see where this is going? I mean, we have a lot of attacks here. We're going to swing for 5. We're going to start off with 3 Dawn Invest and swing for 5. Well, now we got a card from their hand. We're just going to keep going for 5s here, I think. I was going to say we might want to go for 6s into this Perona. Okay, so we swing for, looks like we're going to swing for 5 more. Not sure. Looks like we're trying to do a little bit of math here. I'm trying to determine which card I want to put back to my life. I'm not trying to slow roll this guy. I'm just trying to determine which card I want to send back to my life. Yeah, so we need to swing for 7 here. Now we push the hog back to life. Okay, what's going on here? Hang on. Yeah, push the hog back to life. Plus 2,000 to the Perona. Now we can swing for 7. Okay, now we can swing for 6 with our leader. Yeah, then we can play out the Perona afterwards to lock down their Perona. Swing for 6, swing for 10. They're down to 0. Lock down one of their attacks. Okay, well now they can only realistically, they can only attack 3 times, but really only 2 times. We have 3 life. They attack into our Lilith. We let that go, of course. And now, not exactly sure what the play is, but they have to be able to get out of a 15,000 power attack from my leader. Okay, so yeah, that's going to be pretty tough. Okay, so they rest down my Perona by attacking with the Shanks, with using that effect there, and then they go ahead and swing into the Perona and get rid of it. They're going to play out a Kashiro and a Tashigi. I know one of their cards in hand is the 9-cost Dracula Mihawk. I think they revealed that earlier, unless they trashed it from an effect. They attack in. They had no life to burn up, but we just don't care. We just have to attack in. I think I'm going to start off with a 9K attack. And watch this, guys. I think they do their math a little bit wrong, or they were just doing this as a way of conceding, because they need to block this attack. I don't think they have enough counter power in hand. Watch this. Okay, remember, guys, we are in 2x speed. We're just waiting for our opponent. They use a 1-cost 3K and a 1K, and they can't actually get out of it. Oh, wow. Guys, they had 2 Dracula Mihawks and a 10-cost Law and Beppo. Now, why didn't they play that card out last turn? Why didn't they play out the Law and Beppo? Well, the idea is, number one, they only have a 1-cost 3K and a 1K in hand, and they can shut down an attack for sure, but we're just probably going to go in for 15K, right? That's the logic there. They'll be at 7 and they can get to 10, 11, but we're just going to attack in for 15K with our leader, and then they would have no blocker down. That's why they had to develop a blocker and try for the, hope for the best there and go from there. Either way, good game to my opponent, good game to all my opponents. And I have to say, guys, I know we didn't go against the craziest competition here today, but I think there's something here. I think this version of the deck has some potential. I think we need to do some fine-tuning. I'll tell you that much right now. First things first, let me actually just type in GARP. We definitely want to add GARP to the list as a 4 of, and I don't think we need 4 Namis. I think 3 Namis is like perfect. I think that's perfection. And then we have 8 really solid searchers. There is another searcher we can run from OP14 for yellow. Actually, it might be, never mind. Actually, it's a black card, never mind. The card I was going to say is this one right here. It's called Hurry Up and Make Me the Pirate King. It's a 1-cost top 3 searcher for Thriller Bark Pirates and puts the rest of the cards in your trash. But this is a black card. We can't run this in Sabo, unfortunately. But not a big deal, right? That's definitely not a big deal. However, let's back to what we were saying. So I think we're going to get rid of 2 Otamas. I don't think we need the 2 Otamas. You can run them if you want to, but for the time being, I'm going to go with 4 Kumasi. I'm going to go up 2 Kumasis to go to 4. Because the more of these triggers that we have, this trigger in particular, the more of this trigger that we have, the better. Because here's the thing. Right now, we have 4, 8, 12. Okay, and then 16, 20, and then 22. We have 22 ways to use triggers to pull bodies out of our trash into play, and then we also have another 8 in 3 Kikinojo, actually, so another 7 with 3 Kikinojos and 4 Kumas. Guys, that's pretty nice, right? That's actually very, very strong, and that can allow us to do some pretty dirty things there by just every time they attack into us, they're getting punished in one way or another. Right, so that's actually very solid. But yeah, another card that I would definitely consider adding. Let me get off of this and go C2000. Whoops, to look up all the 2K counters for yellow right now. We have a lot of options. I'll bring up the red and yellow 2K counters. We have, I think we have like 4 or 5 incredible options. For red, we have this Otama, power reduction. We have this Koala, power reduction. And then we have this Sanji for, a way to prevent our opponent from, like starving us, I guess you could say, right? And then I wasn't even thinking about this card. I just saw it. We have this Chopper as well, just a nice utility 2K counter. This card is actually unbelievably good. Maybe I shouldn't say unbelievably good. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. Excuse me. But this card is actually excellent in Red Yellow Sabo because on your opponent's turn, he gets plus 2,000. And if you use your leader's effect to give him another 2,000, he's a 4-cost 8,000 power blocker on your opponent's turn. That is real strong, right? That is really powerful. Okay. So what else do we have here? For yellow, we have Hiyori and Zeus. Those were the 2 cards I was going to say, and we talked a little bit about Frankie. The problem with Frankie is it is not actually a trigger body unless you're at 1 or less life. And yeah, we have no problem getting down to 1 or less life, but maybe not when we want to perfectly every single time, right? So that's something we're going to have to really strongly consider is, we have 8 2K counters in the deck right now with the 4 Kumas and the 4 Kumasi. That's kind of weird. Kuma and Kumasi. And they're even spelled very similar with K-U-M-A and K-U-M-A-C-Y. But we're running 8 counters with the Kuma and Kumasi. And these actually bring cards out of our trash. And remember, guys, what we're trying to do early on, you want to counter out of your first attack no matter what with one of these cards right here, with the Victorious Sindri, with the Dr. Hogback, or the Perona. Those are just incredibly important cards to counter out with early on. Now, I will say this. Let me go back to OP14 real quick and see if there's any other possible options, even if they're lesser options to cheat out, because these Thriller Bark, I should have typed in Thriller Bark, probably. Actually, no, it doesn't matter. This is all that there is for yellow. So yeah, there's only the Kumasi, the Absalom, the Sindri, the Hogback, and the Perona. There's only those 5 cards for now. Hopefully they add more in the future. But what I was going to say was this. You can't trash Absalom from your hand, right? There's no way for us to do that. We can't counter out with this card because there's no counter on it, right? So, yes, we could play this card out on curve going first or second on turn 2, but what I'm trying to say is before we take our first hit, we need to have a card in our trash that we can pull out of the trash with our trigger effects from the Thriller Bark Pirate stuff. So we might have to make some adjustments over time. I would say the biggest weak point, the largest weakness in this deck currently is what I just said, where we only really have 12 cards to trash from our hand in order to, get into our trash that we can pull back out with these trigger effects. So we'll have to maybe work on that over time. We'll have to figure something out there, but that's just all we have access to currently. Even if I type in Thriller Bark, or Thriller for short, and look up all the red and yellow cards, that's just simply all there are. That's it. So, we'll have to make do for now. But that's the only big, not major weakness, but weakness worth talking about with this deck currently, because the way that we're able to just gain life at will for the most part with Red Yellow Sabo and cards like Kuma and Gecko Moria, we can push the game out pretty long now, and the longer the game goes, the more life we gain, the more triggers we have access to, like the Perona, the Hogback, the Absalom, the Sindri, or whatever, even the Kikinojo. Kikinojo is a massive trigger body, guys. If you get this into play, I think anyone who's been playing Red Yellow Sabo for long enough will tell you the games where you get Kikinojo from your first life are probably somewhere around like an 80 to 90% win rate, if not better, depending on the matchup, obviously. But if you just get a free 6,000 power attacking body that gives you on KO, if your opponent has 3 left life cards, gain a life, I mean, it's just insane. Because what ends up happening is this, guys, for those who are not aware, Kikinojo's been around for a long time in Red Yellow Sabo, and you play this out. If you get this from your life, okay, next turn, you attach 1 Dawn, and now it's a 7,000 power character. You attack in for 7, and then for 1 Dawn on your leader, you just push the card back to your life and buff one of your other characters, and now you get the card back from your life on the next turn as well. So it is a very, very powerful character in Red Yellow Sabo. Only running 3 because it is a brick. We have to be careful of that. But notice in this deck, guys, we're not running a lot of bricks. We're actually only running 11 bricks. We're running 2 Kid and Killer, 3 Kikinojo, 4 Absalom, and then 2 of the 8 cost Gecko Moria. So we're not really running all that many bricks in the deck. 11's a very acceptable number for bricks. Anywhere between 10 and 15, depending on what you're trying to do for bricks in your deck, is generally an acceptable number of bricks. It just comes down to like ratios and things like that. You don't want to have a bunch of bricks in your hand. But another thing we could consider, guys, notice there's not a lot of red cards in here. We can, of course, head over to red and look up some other cards, like some rush options that red might have, because there's a lot of stuff in here. We could maybe add 1 or 2 of these Goldie Rogers to help us close out the game against certain other matchups. We could even run something like this Shanks. I mean, this card's not bad either. It's unfortunate, but whenever something's 10 Dawn, it's not the perfect combo in this deck, because we can't attach a Dawn to our leader to push something into life, and that kind of hurts us from time to time. So we have to be careful there. We have access to this Luffy. We can still search it up with something like Garp. There is an option there. We can, of course, we're already running the Kid and Killer. We could run Dragon. This is just a great card. And honestly, guys, this new Zoro is pretty incredible as well. Pause and read this if you don't know what it does. This is a solid card. And I know in the future I'd like to mess around with the Red Yellow Sabo deck that's more Supernova focused, but specifically not Luffy Supernova focused like this one, because the best red and yellow searchers, at least in my opinion, for Supernova are Luffy. Watch this, guys. If we go to red and yellow, look at this. Here's a top 5 Supernova searcher up for cards that other than, cards not named Luffy. And now there's another one now from OP14 that does a top 5 search for Supernova, for cards that are not named Luffy. And that's really unfortunate. And then, of course, we have access to Garp because we're running Red Yellow Sabo. So who knows, maybe that's something we can work on in the future, is a deck that has, 12 different searchable, or 12 different searchers and runs a bunch of Supernova stuff. We'll have to see what we can do there. But yeah, I think that's about it, guys. That's about all I have for today's video. Some other cards we might want to really consider are like some 8, 9, and 10 cost options. 7, 8, 9 actually is probably better. Let's start with 7. If you want more top end in the deck, you might want to consider running something like the 7 cost Ben Beckman. Where is Beckman at? I'm looking over there. He is right in front of me. This is just a good card. And guys, you know what's really nice about this card, especially if you plan on going up against a lot of like red-blue aces in your format, like wherever you live, if there's a lot of red-blue ace players, this trashes a character with 6,000 power or less. So you know what that means, right? That's a nice 4-cost, 6,000 power Marco you have there that you thought you were going to draw 3 cards from and ignore my attack. You're actually just not going to draw any cards, not even from your leader's effect, because I think even the leader effect goes off of KO or damage being dealt to the leader. So, we can use this card to cause some damage there. 7 cost Lin. This is just a very strong card from a while back now, all the way back from Block 1. What about Trafalgar? Now, Trafalgar Law would be very interesting in the red-yellow Supernova deck that I was talking about, but probably not this deck. This 7 cost Edward Newgate. This does attach a Dawn to our leader, which helps us use our leader effect more efficiently when playing on curve. Just a great card. And then let's move over to the 8 cost stuff. There's actually a ton, and I mean a ton, of really good 8 cost red and yellow cards. We have 8 cost Dragon, 8 cost Secret Rayleigh. We have this new 8 cost Secret Trafalgar Law coming out in EB03. But the problem with this card is it's much more focused around Trafalgar Law. It's probably meant more for purple yellow Rosinante than anything else, but probably not that great in what we're trying to do. But then we have the 8 cost Katakuri. This card is still incredible, guys. Pushing an 8 cost out of the way. Yep. And then establishing an 8K body. Really, really strong. Then we have 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd. And then we have 8 cost Gecko Moria. Really, really good stuff for the 8 cost slot in red and yellow. And then for 9, we have a few decent options. This Yamato, very strong. Unfortunately, 2 of the best 9 cost red or yellow cards. They're 2 yellow cards. This Joribani and this Boa Hancock, we can't run them, unfortunately, because this one's locked to 7 Warlords and this one's locked to Egghead. So that is a bummer, I'm not going to lie, because these cards are really, really strong. And I actually feel like if Red Yellow Sabo had access to either one of these cards, I don't think he'd be broken. I think he would be very competitive, though. So it's unfortunate we can't run these. Now, we can actually run this new OP14 9 cost Trafalgar Law. Notice this, it's a 9 cost 10,000 power character with Rush, and then on opponent's attack once per turn, you may trash 2 cards from your hand and select one of your characters. Swap the base power of the selected character with the base power of your leader during this battle. So this is just a generically good 9 cost rusher that has some defensive capabilities built in as well. We can trash 2 bricks from our hand to get out of like a 9,000 power attack very, very easily. So this is a solid card. This is a really good card here. We'll have to really consider, especially, like I said, if we do mess around with the red-yellow Supernova package for the deck. Okay, and then last but not least, oh, and of course, 9 cost, Edward Newgate. This card's solid as well. This Shanks would be good, but unfortunately, your leader has to be Red Hair Pirates to get the best part of the effect. To get the plus 2K. Okay, now for finally for the 10 cost. Whoops. It's going to bring up a bunch of OP10 cards as well, I believe. Yeah, and cards that have like 10 in their number. But for the 10 cost cards, we already talked about Goldie Roger. We talked about Shanks. We didn't talk about this Shanks. This one's kind of decent, but I don't think we really need this. If anything, I think out of the 2 10 cost cards we'd consider running in this deck, it's definitely a tie between Goldie Roger and the 10 cost, Conquerors, Hockey, Shanks, or whatever this is that just minus 1,000s the whole board. These are the best 2 options in my opinion. This Goldie Roger is just good for just sneaking through lethal when you have to, and then this Shanks is just good all around. Yellow has a few decent 10 cost cards. No, just kidding. We can't even run 2 of them. The Enel and the Charlotte Linlin are just not good for what we're doing. This Linlin, your leader has to be Big Mom Pirates. This Enel, you don't get Rush unless your leader's Sky Island. But this Port Ghosty Ace is not bad, that's for sure. This Ace is very solid. But at the same time, I don't know if this is really going to fit what we're trying to do with this deck. Well, all right, guys, that's about all I have for y'all today. There's definitely a lot of other options. I could spend a long time talking about all the different options that Red Yellow Sabo has now. But I think the direction I'll be pursuing moving forward is definitely more along the lines of this Thriller Bark Pirates package. I think this is the way to go moving forward. This Perona, guys, understand the curve going second. Turn 1, one of these searchers. Turn 2, Perona, lock down your board. Turn 3, gain a life with Kuma. Turn 4, gain a life with Gecko Moria. It is a lot of pressure, guys. It is very, very strong. And then even if we're stuck going first, it's not that big of a deal because we actually have a decent going first curve as well, where we go, turn 1, one of our searchers, they're both 1 cost searchers, into turn 2, Absalom, into turn 3, any of our 4 cost cards, and then a Dawn for our leader, or we could play out the 5 cost Nami, and then our 7 Dawn turn, we can play out the Kuma, and then on our 9 Dawn turn, we can play out the Gecko Moria, and we have an extra Dawn to play around with, for that whole entire situation there, for those type of situations we find ourselves getting into, you know, because it does happen. You're going to have to go first every now and then, right? And one card that I would really strongly consider if we're going to try to make this list a little bit better, and we also have the Sindri. I'm sorry, we actually have 8 3-drops, guys. I was going to say we don't have enough 3-drops really to get away with what I want to here, but at the same time, I guess we do. We have Absalom and the Sindri. So yeah, we have a good going first or second curve, guys. It's definitely not bad at all, because playing out this Perona on your 4-Dawn turn or 5-Dawn turn doesn't matter. You're locking down whatever they played last turn. It's not swinging, right? Because you know, unless they can somehow get to 7-Dawn, you know, by the time we get to, you know, 4 or 5 Dawn, then maybe. But yeah, any kind of 6 cost or lower character they play out, yep, that thing's locked down, and I'm just going to keep on curving out. So this is, you know, hey, guys, the deck is pretty solid, I have to say. A lot of good stuff going on here. All right, I'm done yapping. Hope y'all enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me get the outro page on here. There we go. Thank you to everybody who made it this far, guys. Hey, if you are liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, viewing my stuff, if you're using my TCG Player affiliate link, if you're supporting me through donations on Patreon or PayPal, if you're a Playmat supporter, a YouTube member, or part of the Discord community, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. This community, absolutely incredible. All right, guys, I'm done. Hope y'all enjoyed. Till next time, peace.